You've walked right past it. I'd bet money on it. You've spent a whole Saturday on the river, knees soaked, back aching, and you came home with a vial holding nothing but black sand and a couple of flakes so small you had to squint. And the whole time, sitting right there on the bank, were rocks packed with the signs of gold, and you stepped over them because nobody ever told you what they looked like. That's not bad luck. That's not a bad claim. You were taught to look for the wrong signals. Here's the truth. Almost nobody says out loud, gold is not rare. Knowing how to read the ground is rare. So today I'm going to hand you 7 kinds of rock right here in the United States that are absolute magnets for gold, and that most people walk past every single trip. You'll learn exactly what each one looks like, why gold rides with it, a 5-second field check to confirm it, and roughly what your finds are worth. And the last rock on this list is the one almost nobody knows about. So stay with me to the end. Quick question before we go deep, and I really do read these. How many trips have you come home skunked, staring at an empty vial? Drop the number in the comments right now. I want to see it. Now, before I show you a single rock, you need to understand why rocks even carry gold in the first place, because this is where most folks get lost. Gold doesn't grow. It came up from deep inside the earth, carried by superheated water squeezing through cracks in the rock under enormous pressure. As that water cooled and lost pressure, the gold dropped out of solution and got locked into the surrounding stone, usually alongside quartz and certain minerals that formed in the exact same hot water plumbing. So gold and certain rocks are travel partners. They were born in the same event. That's the whole secret. When you find the rock that formed in a gold-bearing hydrothermal system, you have found the neighborhood where gold lives. And when that rock later breaks down, weathers, and washes into a creek, it drops its gold into the gravels, which is why placer gold sits downstream from these rock types every single time. So the game isn't hunting gold directly. The game is learning to spot the rocks that gold chose to live with. Read the rock and you found the address. Ignore the rock and you're just splashing water and hoping. Let me show you the first one. The first rock is rusty, iron-stained quartz, and this one shocks people because they've been throwing it in the reject pile for years. You know the milky white quartz everybody grabs in photographs? Forget it. Clean, pretty, snow-white quartz is usually barren. The quartz you want looks ugly. It's stained orange, red, brown, sometimes almost black in the cracks, and it's got little holes and pits called boxwork where minerals used to be before they rotted away. That rust is the tell. Here's the mechanism in plain words. Gold usually travels in the same hot water as iron sulfides. Think pyrite. When that pyrite weathers and rusts, it leaves behind those iron stains and empty pockets, and the gold that rode along stays behind, sometimes visible, sometimes hiding in the rust. Some of the richest ore ever pulled out of the ground was this ugly, rotten-looking quartz. The California Motherlode, which produced well over 100 million ounces of gold across its lifetime, was full of exactly this rusty, iron-kissed vein material. In the field, look for it in old vein outcrops on hillsides. In the float, the loose broken rock washed down a slope. And along the base of eroding banks, the beginner's mistake? Chasing the clean white quartz because it looks like treasure, and tossing the rusty stuff because it looks like junk. That right there is how you go home with an empty vial while a fortune sits in your reject pile. And here's your bridge to number 2. Quartz tells you gold passed through, but the next rock tells you where it settled. And it's the one color you've been trained your whole life to ignore. Number 2 is dark, heavy volcanic, and iron-rich rock. Greenstone and its cousins. Now, most people's eyes are trained to look for shiny and light. Gold country teaches you the opposite. Look dark and look heavy. Greenstone is an old volcanic rock, cooked and squeezed over millions of years until it turned a dull greenish-gray, dense and heavy in the hand. Why does it matter? Because those deep, hot water gold systems love to form right along the boundaries where these dark, iron-rich rocks meet other formations. The chemistry of iron-rich rock actually helps trigger gold to drop out of solution. That's not folklore. That's why some of the biggest gold belts on Earth, like the greenstone belts of Canada and Australia, and plenty of ground here in the western states, sit in exactly this rock. In the field, you want the contact zones, where a dark, heavy band meets a lighter rock. where you see a color change in a road cut or a canyon wall. That seam is prime. The mistake beginners make is walking a creek, looking only at the gravel and never once looking up at the walls to read what rock is feeding that creek. If dark iron-rich rock is shedding into your stream, pay attention. Quick pause here, because everything I just walked you through, reading rust, reading dark rock, reading the contacts, this is the stuff that took me years of skunked trips to learn the hard way. All of it, and dozens more field tricks like it, is inside the Gold Prospector's Bible, 2026 edition. 50 field-tested tricks to stop getting skunked. And right now it comes with the 30-day Skunk-Proof Roadmap completely free. A step-by-step 4-week plan to pick your ground, test smarter, and finally find your first real color. Links in the description. QR codes right there on your screen. This is the season you stop guessing where the gold is. Now, let's get back to the rocks. Number 3 is black sand. And yes, I'm calling it a rock because it's really crushed heavy minerals, and it's the single most misread material in this whole hobby. You've seen it. That heavy black layer in the bottom of your pan that just won't wash out? Most people curse it. They should be celebrating it. Black sand is mostly magnetite and hematite, iron minerals that are heavy, nearly as stubborn as gold itself. And that's the point. Gold is heavy. Black sand is heavy. Moving water sorts by weight, so wherever the current dropped its black sand, it dropped its gold in the very same spot. Black sand is nature's flashing sign that says, the heavy stuff collected right here. Find the black sand and you've found the trap. In the field, chase the black sand layers. In the bottom of your pan, packed into bedrock cracks layered in the gravel banks like dark stripes in a cake, behind boulders and on the inside bends of the river where the water slows down. Run a magnet over it and most of it jumps right up. The beginner's mistake is washing the black sand out of the pan too fast, too aggressively, and flushing the fine gold right out with it, because fine gold and black sand weigh close to the same, and if you're sloppy, they leave together. Slow down. That black stripe in the bank isn't dirt, it's a map. And it leads straight to the next rock, which is where that black sand and gold get trapped and held. Number 4 is bedrock, the solid rock floor under all the gravel, and specifically the cracked, rough, uneven bedrock. Here's what shocks people. The gold isn't in the gravel you keep digging through. Most of it has sunk clear to the bottom, down onto the bedrock, and it's wedged into every crack, crevice, and pothole it could find. Bedrock is the bottom of the piggy bank. Gold is so dense, about 19 times heavier than water, that it works its way down through loose gravel over the years until it hits something solid it can't pass. Then it stops, and it packs into any crack running crossways to the current. The rougher and more broken the bedrock, the better the trap. Smooth, polished bedrock lets gold slide on past. Jagged, cracked, wrinkled bedrock grabs it and holds it for decades. In the field, get down to that bedrock, clean out the cracks with a screwdriver, a spoon, a crevice tool. Dig the packed material out of every seam, especially the cracks running across the flow of the water. Not with it. The beginner's mistake, and this one hurts, is digging a nice hole in the loose gravel, panning it out, finding a few flakes, and quitting, while the real payload sat 6 inches deeper, jammed in the bedrock they never bothered to reach. How many of your skunked trips ended a half foot above the good stuff? Probably more than you'd like to admit. And that brings me to a rock everybody's heard of, but almost nobody uses correctly. Number 5 is Conglomerate, old cemented gravel that turned to stone. Picture concrete, but nature made it. Rounded pebbles and sand all glued together into a solid rock. Why should you care? Because a conglomerate is an ancient riverbed that got buried, hardened, and lifted up. And ancient rivers carried gold exactly like modern ones do, sometimes far more because they had millions of years to concentrate it. Some of the richest gold ground on the planet, the deep gravels of the old tertiary rivers in California, is exactly this. Ancient stream gravel now sitting high and dry on a hillside, hundreds of feet above the current creek. Hydraulic miners in the 1800s blasted whole mountainsides apart chasing these old channels, and they pulled fortunes out. In the field, look for bands of rounded pebbles cemented into a bank or a bluff, often reddish or rusty from all that iron, sitting well above the modern river. That's a fossil river, and it's frozen a snapshot of where the gold was. The beginner's mistake is assuming gold only lives in the water they can see today, and never looking up at those old benches and terraces above the creek. The river you're standing in is young. The rich one might be 100 feet over your head. Look, I'll be straight with you. If any of this is landing, if you're starting to see the ground differently already, then here's the honest move. The Gold Prospector's Bible gives you all 50 of these field-tested tricks across 5 chapters, from reading rock to working bedrock to sampling a new creek without wasting a whole day. It comes with a printable 10-minute streamside checklist you can keep in your pack, and that 30-day Skunk-Proof Roadmap still comes free with it right now. I honestly don't know how long we can keep that free gift in the bundle. If you've been watching these videos thinking this could finally be your season, that's the move. Links in the description below, QR codes on your screen. Make this the year you find your first real color. All right, back to it. Number 6 is calcite and the pale vein minerals that ride shotgun with gold. And this is one professional geologists lean on that hobbyists almost never talk about. When those hot mineral waters cooled and dumped their load, they didn't just leave quartz. They left a whole cocktail of minerals. Calcite, which is a soft, white-to-cream mineral you can scratch with a knife, along with other pale, waxy, glassy vein fillings. Finding these tells you that you're standing in a real hydrothermal system, the exact plumbing that moves gold. Think of it as reading the receipts of an event that happened millions of years ago. The presence of the right vein mineral says the hot water was here, and where hot water was, gold may have dropped. In the field, you find these in and around vein outcrops, alongside that rusty quartz from earlier, and the broken rock of old prospect pits and abandoned diggings where somebody before you already smelled gold. The beginner's mistake is only recognizing quartz and ignoring every other vein mineral, which means they miss half the signs that they're in the right zone. And here's where I have to warn you about something, because it's been fooling prospectors for 200 years, and it's about to matter for our last rock. That something is the imposter. Pyrite. Fool's gold. It's brassy, it's shiny, it catches the sun and makes your heart jump, and it has ended more good days than bad weather ever did. Here's the thing. Pyrite and gold really do travel together, so finding pyrite is genuinely a good sign you're in gold country. But pyrite is not gold, and folks fill vials with it thinking they're rich. So here's your 5-second field check, and it never fails. Real gold is soft. You can dent it, scratch it, flatten it with a nail, and it stays gold-colored all the way through. Pyrite is brittle and hard. Press it, and it crumbles or shatters into little pieces. And color. Gold stays bright yellow in the shade and in the sun. Pyrite goes dull and gray when you turn it out of direct light. Turn your palm into the shadow. If the shine dies, it's pyrite. If it still glows warm and yellow, you might have something. Remember that check, because our last rock hides its gold right next to this liar. Now, roughly 2/3 of the way here, let me tell you a true story, because it drives all this home. Back in 2006, near the town of Ballarat in Australia, a fellow named Kevin Hillier and, over the years, plenty of other detectorists worked ground that everyone assumed was picked clean a century earlier. But the real legend of that region is the Welcome Stranger Nugget, pulled from just inches below the surface in 1809 by 2 miners, John Deason and Richard Oates. It weighed over 2,300 troy ounces, the largest gold nugget ever found. It was sitting under barely 2 inches of soil in the roots of a tree in ground thousands of people had walked across. 2 inches. Deason reportedly hit it with his pick and thought it was junk rock. Here in the States, folks still pull multi-ounce nuggets out of old, worked-out districts in the West every year with a detector, in ground the 49ers supposedly cleaned out. The lesson is simple, and it's the whole point of this video. The gold isn't gone. The people who found it just knew how to read the ground the rest walked over. Now let me give you the last rock, the one almost nobody hunts. Number 7. The one I promised you is schist and the sheared foliated rock, the layered flaky silvery-looking stone that most people write off as worthless trash. This is the least known gold host on this whole list, and it might be the most productive per pound of any of them. Schist is rock that got cooked and squeezed so hard it developed a wavy, layered grain like the pages of a wet book. It sparkles because it's full of mica, and that sparkle is exactly why beginners ignore it, or worse, get fooled by it. But here's the mechanism. All that squeezing and shearing didn't just fold the rock, it opened up thousands of tiny gaps and seams between the layers. And those gaps became highways and holding tanks for the gold-bearing hot water. Some of the richest hard rock gold on Earth sits in sheared, schisty ground from the Sierra foothills to Alaska. The gold gets smeared and hidden right along those glittering foliation plains. In the field, look for rock that splits into thin, wavy sheets, silvery or greenish gray, often near those dark greenstone contacts from earlier, and look hard at any spot where the layers are crumpled, folded, or quartz has been squeezed in between them. That quartz and schist seam is a prime target. And here's the imposter coming back one last time, exactly like I warned you. That mica in the schist flashes gold and silver in the sun and fools people every single trip. But do your check. Mica is weightless, and it floats and flutters. It flakes apart under your fingernail, and the shine dies the second you turn it out of the sun. Gold sinks like a stone, dense instead of flaking, and glows yellow even in shadow. That's the difference between a vial of glitter and a vial of gold. The beginner's mistake with schist is dismissing the whole rock as just mica and walking away from some of the best-held gold in the district. Don't be that person. Read the folds, check the seams, and test every shiny thing the slow way. So let me ask you straight, because I'm curious. Which of these 7 have you actually found before? Maybe rusty quartz, maybe black sand, maybe a hunk of schist, and tossed it aside without knowing what you were holding? Tell me in the comments which one and how long ago. I read every single one. Here's what changed in the last 25 minutes. You walked in thinking gold was rare and hiding from you. You're walking out knowing it isn't. You can now spot rusty iron-stained quartz and know why the clean white stuff is a decoy. You know, dark heavy greenstone marks the contacts where gold drops. You know, black sand is a treasure map. That bedrock cracks are the piggy bank. That conglomerate is a fossil river frozen in stone. That calcite and the pale vein minerals are the receipts of a gold system. And that glittering schist, the rock everybody ignores, might hold the best gold in the whole canyon. And you've got the 5-second shade and scratch test to strip away pyrite and mica and never get fooled again. That's not luck, that's reading the ground. Next time you walk a riverbank, you don't want to be the person who steps over a fortune and keeps walking. So if this helped, do me one favor and subscribe, because next time I'm going to show you the exact 3 spots in any creek where the gold piles up thickest and you won't want to miss it. Good luck out there, gold hunter. Now go read the rock.